We can always argue about the quality of WWE, but there are certain times in history where everyone can agree, this is bad. 2015 is one of those times. Blue-eyed Roman Reigns was being shoved down our throats, Sting was jobbing to Triple H, and women's wrestling was close to non-existent. But then something changed. After an atrocious WrestleMania 32, WWE finally started to turn things around. AJ Styles was giving Roman Reigns some of the best matches of his entire career up to that point. The women finally had a championship worth fighting for, and Dean Ambrose was about to make history at Money in the Bank, the night all three members of The Shield held the WWE Championship. This is the night everything changed. Not long after, it was announced that the WWE Draft was returning, and as a fan, I hadn't been this excited about WWE in ages. We saw Finn Balor arrive on the scene and immediately beat Roman Reigns to become the #1 contender for the new Universal title. It was exciting. And on SmackDown Live, Dean Ambrose was the new face of the show. It was refreshing. SmackDown had long been a show not worth watching, mostly just a recap of Raw. But now, that was all changing. On that very first episode, a six-pack challenge was announced to determine Ambrose's SummerSlam challenger. Not only were we getting a rarely used match type, but a battle royal would open the show to determine the sixth participant. For years, it felt like we were getting spoon-fed the same old garbage, but this was different. The six-pack challenge had bona fide superstars like John Cena, AJ Styles, and Bray Wyatt. It had up-and-coming fresh faces like Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews, truly showing that SmackDown Live was the land of opportunity. And then, there was one more name. Someone who'd been overlooked for years. Someone with something to prove. Dolph Ziggler.
Oh, and by the way, Beaner Bronco Buster?
Yeah.
Where the hell did that come from?
Improv.
That was wonderful.
Dolph Ziggler had always been a fan favorite, the kind of guy who showed up, delivered, and made everyone around him look better. He was reliable, he was consistent, and more than that, he was damn good. But WWE never really saw him that way. Sure, he had his moments. His Money in the Bank cash-in was one of the best of all time. He held the World Heavyweight Championship on multiple occasions, but even then, it never felt like he was the guy. The title felt secondary, his reigns were short, and more often than not, Ziggler was booked like someone who could only propel other guys that the company actually cared about. He wasn't treated like a future legend, he was treated like a stepping stone. And despite all the cheers, despite all the passion, despite the fact that fans were always ready to rally behind him, WWE never really did. That is what made this moment all the better. Like I said earlier, we were already getting Finn Balor, a young, partially unknown guy challenging for a world title at SummerSlam, so it made sense that someone like John Cena or maybe Bray Wyatt would challenge for the other world title. You know, someone who is well established. But for WWE to take a chance on Dolph Ziggler, it felt like we were finally in a new era. The next week on SmackDown, Dean Ambrose would come out and finally proclaim himself as the guy to beat. Ambrose talked about how he had been overlooked by Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, but after defeating both men at Battleground, he was now the guy on top and he was willing to do anything to keep his place and build his own legacy. Ambrose quickly called out Dolph Ziggler, and when he came out, we could see an immediate difference in the way Ziggler was dressed and the way he was carrying himself. Gone was the jean jacket and bandana. Ziggler wanted to show everyone that he meant business. Ziggler would tell Ambrose that he is a fan because he thinks they're very similar. Like Ambrose, Ziggler had to scratch and claw to get to WWE, and his road wasn't easy. Ziggler brings up the fact that he was brought into WWE as a male cheerleader, but he fought through that adversity to become a mainstay in the company. Despite all this, Ambrose is not taking Ziggler seriously. Like us, the audience, Ambrose has watched Ziggler for years. He knows that while he's a good wrestler, he has never been able to truly capture the moment. In a way, Ambrose is right. Why should he take Dolph Ziggler seriously? Ambrose tells Ziggler, you're going to steal the show and you're going to lose. Could truer words ever be spoken to summarize Dolph Ziggler's entire career? The fans like Ambrose, but he doesn't care. Ambrose tells Ziggler that all he cares about is winning, and that is what makes them different. In this moment, something in Dolph Ziggler changes. We see a side of him that I don't think we had ever seen up to that point in his career. Ziggler has always been good, he's always been the show stealer, but even as a fan of him, you had to admit something was missing. In this moment, Ziggler tells Ambrose who he is. He's a kid from Cleveland who had been looked down on his entire life, a kid who had a dream of making it to WWE, but when that dream came true, it wasn't all he had hoped. He has been disrespected and overlooked. He has been told one day that he is not good enough and told the next day that he's too good. Ziggler tells Ambrose that none of that matters because now he has his chance and he's going to beat Dean Ambrose because he is that damn good. It's the perfect final word. Ziggler has staked his claim and passionately made us all believe that maybe this time will be different. Maybe he really is good enough to be the guy. Both men let the moment breathe as they stare each other down. You think the segment is over, but Dean Ambrose says one more thing. No, you're not. Oh my god, it's so perfect, it's so simple, but it so perfectly encapsulates Dolph Ziggler's entire career. This promo was special. Go watch it for yourself. It's less than 5 minutes, but in just 5 minutes, both Dean Ambrose and Dolph Ziggler are able to make us believe, which is sometimes so hard to do in wrestling. So often we go into matches where we know who is going to win, not because of dirt sheets or spoilers, but because the product feels so formulaic. It's so hard to surprise or shock us, but with a promo like this, you can make fans believe that someone who has always been seen as a mid-card guy could become the world champion. Now, Ziggler would go on to lose, and the match wasn't even that good. This promo wasn't the launch pad that would establish him as a main eventer. Unfortunately, he just went back to the mid-card, doing nothing of real substance for the rest of his career. It sucks. And Ziggler would go on to cut more impassioned promos, some that you might even say are better than this one. But none of them really felt believable because we knew they would go nowhere. That's what makes this promo different. Because for one brief moment, we believed that Dolph Ziggler wasn't just a stepping stone. We believed that maybe, just maybe, WWE was finally going to reward years of consistency, passion, and heart. This promo wasn't just good, it was convincing. It cut through years of bad booking and made you think this time might be different. And even though it didn't work out, even though the follow-through never came, that moment still matters. It reminds us why we watch wrestling in the first place. This wasn't a career-defining chapter for Dolph Ziggler, but it was a career-defining glimpse. A glimpse at the main eventer he always could have been. And for fans who always saw that in him, this one promo meant everything.
Do the litmus configuration. You're doing the litmus configuration?
Litmus configuration.
Yes.